Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. I want to do a reading on the wildfires that are currently raging through Canada. And my apologies, condolences to anybody, any of my viewers from Canada. We went through similar things the last couple of years in California, so we know all about what you're going through here. It's just amazing looking at a map that I have up here, seeing just these fires spread across basically from the east coast to the west coast of Canada, and the amount of smoke that's pouring down in there. So I wish you all safety. I hope that this ends soon, but this is a consequence of climate change, and all the Jewish space lasers and picking up branches off the ground is not going to change these things. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, this is just some of the crazy stuff that came out of Trump and the right-wing media, as far as right-wing media. Marjorie Taylor Greene was saying that wildfires are started by Jewish space lasers, and Trump had a thing there about they don't clean up, they don't rake the forest. That's why there's wildfires in California. Aren't you glad you have a prime minister who doesn't spout such nonsense? I don't even think Doug Ford in his drunkest moment would say anything as stupid as that. Oh, God. Okay, but I want to do a little bit of reading on this. See what Spirit can tell me about what's going on currently with these wildfires in Canada, and we'll follow up with what's the prognosis for the future. I really do hope that they are contained soon, or you get some weather over there that helps you out with that. Okay, speaking of containing, right now it looks like the wildfires, some of them are being contained. And on this map, just read the story real quick here. As of Friday, a slight majority of Canada's active fires are still classified as being out of control, with 231 blazes in that category. Of the remaining wildfires being monitored, 175 were under control, 94 were being held, which means that they're not moving. So you're not quite 50-50 there as that goes, but hopefully it's the bigger fires are contained, because once you've got to contain, they'll burn themselves out. So I think this is what this saying is. Right now, the goal isn't to put them out. The goal is to contain the fires. Contain as many as you can, as quickly as you can. And the more fires that you can contain, the quicker you can contain them, the quicker this thing ends. Because again, you don't have to put out the fire, but you need to contain it. If you contain it, it's in an isolated area. And yeah, there's more stuff it will burn, but eventually it will burn all the fuel out, and then the fire goes out. So that looks like is the goal right now. At least what Spirit is telling me is that containment is the primary goal to end this whole situation here. In the past, we've had the Six of Cups. This is something that's probably been building for a while. Not that Canada doesn't get wildfires, but that these wildfires are going to get worse. And this is with climate change. We can't go back to the good old days where there was no climate change. This is just a reflection of climate change, and we're going to have to adapt. We're going to have to grow and evolve past wishful thinking of what the way things used to be. The way things used to be aren't going to be the way they are forward. This is the new normal. How do we deal with it? We've got the Empress says the current thing. It's going to be kind of a holistic approach towards it. There's not going to be any one thing that's going to stop these wildfires. It's going to be a battery of things, not the least of which is going to be trying to reduce the impact of climate change. But more funding is going to have to go to firefighting and equipment and getting people prepared. I know in California, for instance, a lot of our wildfires start with our Pacific Gas and Electric high power lines getting whipped around in the wind and then igniting trees that are nearby. So, clearing out obvious fire paths. It's a lot of resources are going to have to go to this. This might also end up being a job, a career path of growth, because there's going to be more forest fires that need to be fought. And I suspect that whatever agencies in Canada that are responsible for that are probably going to get more funding, which means that there's going to be jobs and opportunities in forestry, forestry management, as well as fighting forest fires. Current overarching energy is the moon, though. We don't know how bad of a problem it is or how much work needs to be done. I think people can tell you it's a lot, but we don't know what we need to know. So I think with the Empress, it's also going to have to be money into research, into getting the information needed in order to target containment for fires in the future. And not only that, you're going to have to deal with people who are going to fight and resist this because they don't want to spend the money on this, and that's just plain ridiculous because these forest fires affect everybody. But there's going to be people say, "Oh, we can't afford it," blah 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 blah. You better be able to afford it because this is impacting all the citizenry in Canada. Lesson to be learned is the Emperor. Your leaders need to lead. The leaders need to take this by the, Justin Trudeau or whoever the leaders of the provinces that happen in, they need to be on the forefront on this. They can't be worried about what special interests are telling them or anything along those lines. Leaders need to lead. This is the time to lead. Your people need this. Your country needs this. You can't be all dreamy-eyed of the past. You've got to do what you can to contain this problem. Leaders need to lead. More major arcana. How about that for 4 in a row? Lovers. And the outcome is, I laugh. The laugh is because I do have friends that live in Ontario, and I get to hear stories about their trips to Montreal and the divide that is Montreal versus the rest of Canada. In Quebec as opposed to the rest of Canada, that Americans wouldn't really understand because we don't have that issue. But kind of like, picture Texas being in the U.S., in the center of the U.S. with a wall built around it and giant middle fingers every 10 feet pointing out to everybody else. That kind of gets you in the ballpark of Quebec's mindset with the rest of Canada. But the provinces, they need to work together. The government needs to work with the people of different parties. Everybody needs to come together in order to address this. This problem is not going away. This problem requires a national Canadian effort to address. And it's going to have to, and there's your next major arcana. So what do we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 versus 3. It's going to require a new approach. The same way of doing things isn't going to fix this problem. You need to look at different ways to fix this. The Hangman could also be, if we're just talking about the containment, there's going to be some sacrifices here. You don't have enough manpower to fight all these. So part of that sacrifice is, some of these fires are just going to have to burn themselves out. Instead of putting things out to contain them, putting out fire, you just need to work to contain. And, some structures may be lost, some resources may be lost, but you've got to look at the big picture. You can't look at the microclimate here. You have to look at the entire picture on this one. So, some people will probably lose some houses on there that could have been saved otherwise if this was the only fire. But it's not. There's 500 of them around there. And, this is going to be risk. This is going to be a risk. One of the other things I'll point out to you is that in California, some places, especially in the Sierra foothills, you can't get fire insurance anymore for your house. Your house burns down, you're done, because the insurance companies are losing money. And the insurance companies aren't about covering your property; they're about making money. So if they're losing money because of wildfires in California. Well, they're just going to pull out of the California market, which is pretty much exactly what happened. They'll happily, give you fire insurance in San Francisco because it's not a big fire risk area, so they can make lots of money. But in the Sierras, too bad. And that's not right. But that's capitalism. Okay. Capitalism isn't always what it's cracked up to be. All right. What's the future of these fires? When can we expect these fires to come out? Now, again, this is a timing question. Timing questions are lousy. How quickly will they be able to put out? What can you tell me about them being put out? I'm nervous with this one because I know timing questions don't work well with Spirit. Yeah, well, I'm sure it works out really well for Spirit. I just can't translate them on my end. Oh, Lordy. Or as Johnny would say, Lord have all the mercies. All right. Spirit, what can you tell me? Okay, you want to stay on top? You can stay on top. All right, let's see. What can you tell me about when these fires will be put out? High Priestess. I'm just going to throw this spread and see if I can do it as opposed to both people are taking actions. There are people in charge. People who have good ideas what to do are taking actions with those ideas. Just as I say, I'm about to throw all the cards. I won't go ahead and start reading them one by one. Okay, so people are coming up with novel ideas, new ideas. This could also be other countries volunteering firefighters to come in and help fight the fires. This could be, I don't know what the Canadian equivalent of CAL FIRE is. CAL FIRE is the California sort of state fire department. It's not a local fire department. It's people that fight wildfires throughout the state. Resources are coming in to help. I'm sure this is also a call out to other nations, other neighbors, I should say, to come help out. And people are responding to that. I know, like in the California wildfires, we had firefighters coming from Canada. We had them coming from Utah. I have friends that live in Utah, and he is a firefighter, and he was sending me a video from an overpass of, a dozen fire trucks heading towards California to help out with that. Again, so this is just like that lover's card, this is a community-wide problem that needs community-wide help. King of Cups. This could be Justin Trudeau. This could be Joe Biden, but a leader who is a very compassionate person, and both of those men, young and old, fill that role, are the ones who are going to take the lead on this one to make sure that resources are being gathered and actions being taken, and whatever resources are being offered are being accepted and mobilized in there. This person is leading. I was telling you how the emperor leaders have to lead. There is somebody with a lot of compassion that's leading. And it's going to be hard. This is not going to be an easy thing. This is going to be a hard thing. There's judgment here. I mean, again, you've got to, people are going to lose houses. People are going to lose things of value in this whole thing. This whole situation. You've got really low air quality, so people need to stay inside, which is going to slow down the economy. Which is, the economy is what gets the king and the emperor reelected. But you have to make a choice. What's more important, people's long-term health or your short-term economy and being reelected? But if the economy shuts down, then you don't have the money to help fight the fires. It's so complex. A lot of moving parts, but I think ultimately you need to act with urgency on the things that need urgency, but you also have to play a long game too. So there might be decisions that are made by your governments that just absolutely confound you, but understand that they have a much bigger picture and a much bigger problem that they have to deal with. But they're going to do really, really well. And I think what's going to happen is at some point, they're going to be doing well. They're doing what they can. The rain comes. The rain comes. The rain is going to be the star. I don't know. And the problem with when you have fires like this, they create their own climate, their own weather. The intense heat that they produce creates this updraft and brings up the wind and stuff like that. But it can also, it can drive off rain because the humidity goes low, but it can also create rain. And this is what you need. Ultimately, what you need is water, and the star is going to be rain coming in. But it's going to be expensive. This is going to cost the Canadian economy. This is going to cost Canada as a country a lot of money, and just to fight this and contain this. But it's also going to be a lot of resources and money going forward with this. The money has to go in there, or else you're going to get the arch here, which is repeating the issue. Underneath it all, King of Wands. You have leaders that are taking action. They're listening to offers. They're taking offers and they're acting on it. And they're taking it's also short term, but also long term action on this, but with compassion. Again, I don't know when the fires go out. I don't know when you normally start getting rain. I know that generally speaking, on the East Coast anyways, in the United States, they get rain a lot during the summertime. We don't in the West Coast. In California and San Francisco, we have a Mediterranean climate, which basically means the rain stops like in April, and then we don't see rain again until like November. So we'll go 6, 7, 8 months without seeing any rain. I mean, no rain. But on the East Coast, you often get thunderstorms and stuff like that. So ultimately, I think it's the rain that's going to help. If you can get a nice storm that lasts for a few to several days over there, that's just what the doctor ordered, and that's going to go a long way to helping contain these fires. Again, my thoughts, my prayers go out to my Canadian neighbors and my Canadian friends. I'm sorry you have to go through this, but I think everybody's going to be going through this going forward. This is just the new normal. I hope this reading helps, or at least brings some insight. Wish I could tell you more. I'm not going to get more out of this one. Thank you again for supporting my channel, and wishing you all the very best. Take care.